It's a show that would turn into a Broadway sensation. But not for the fancy set or the elaborate costumes. What makes Dear Evan Hansen special is it touches on a basic human desire for authenticity in a world surrounded by screens.
You see everyone's perfectly curated lives online. You see just the cropped image of what someone wants you to see their life to be. You believe that to be true, and then you think, wow, I'm so outside of that. I'm so not a part of that. I think social media and the internet has really amplified this sense that everyone's lives are better than mine, or I wasn't at that party because I can see it happening instantaneously.
It's this idea that our screens connect us, but also draw us farther apart. That loneliness and a desire to fit is universal. And the filters, the tweets, the Facebook posts, and the hashtags that have brought out the best in us also can mask the pain that comes along with being human, vulnerable, and unfiltered.
I feel like social media has made us all teenagers again. I think we're all back in high school, looking at each other's perfect lives and wondering why mine isn't like that.
It's a sentiment that plays out on stage in Dear Evan Hansen, the first Broadway show to incorporate the current digital era as a character. I had the chance to sit down with the original cast and the writers who created this unexpected hit.
What role does the internet play in the show?
We wanted it to feel like it was sort of a seamless part of conversation. In the show, there are moments where there are characters who are chatting online, but they're just talking to each other as if they were in a normal face-to-face conversation, and we wanted it to feel sort of seamless in that way.
The premise, a lonely high schooler, Evan Hansen, struggling with anxiety, gets caught up in a lie. As it spirals out of control, it also catapults him into becoming a viral sensation online. He finally starts to fit in, but falls deeper into the rabbit hole of a lie that he can't control.
Well, he's a really lonely, isolated kid. He's a high school senior. And in the beginning of the show, he's sort of deep in a pit. And a big part of that is just sort of feeling dwarfed by sort of online connection and by all of his peers having all these sort of memories and what have you that he's not part of, and feeling like he can't really reach out because everybody's being so instantaneously judged all the time, and feeling like people are presenting sort of happier versions of themselves that he doesn't feel like is true of himself. And later on in the show has sort of the opposite effect, where social media sort of lifts him up and creates a community around him and makes him feel sort of seen in a way. Something that the show does beautifully is sort of showing both the goods and the sort of terrors of social media and not passing judgment on either.
It could be really simple right now when we're like all pointing our fingers at social media to be like, oh, like narcissists, like we're all faking it online.
I mean, when we first started talking about the idea, I think we felt like the really easy, obvious story was a kind of parody or satire of the internet and our generation and people fabricating their incredible lives. And then we started kind of taking a step back and thinking, like, what is the thing that unites all of these people? And it's somehow a thirst for connection, a thirst for something authentic. And so that was our guiding principle in creating Evan as a character, was somebody who is in this world that is immensely interconnected, and yet he feels outside of that.
The show features the story of a high schooler, but that message of wanting to fit in a filtered world is universal. And a message that went viral with its own hashtag. The message that resonated around the world.
When you need a friend to carry you, and when you're broken on the ground, you will be found.
A big theme in it is like the hashtag "you will be found." What does that mean, and why did that resonate?
We wrote it to have a great irony in the show, because the truth is Evan's telling a bit of a lie here. He's telling this story, a version of it that wasn't really the real version, and yet I think people have sort of attached themselves to this song because there is some truth in it. You're hearing an anthem about people being found and about people coming together as a community. We sort of are a little bit weirded out by it, but also intrigued by it, because it sort of speaks to, I think, what the show hopefully does, which is talk about complexity and talk about that things aren't as simple as they might seem, or in this case, that there is some truth even in a lie.
As we all look to our relationship with tech, our devices, the lives we curate online, and the impact of social media as a main character in our own lives, the show serves as a moment of reflection.
I've been covering tech for a very long time, and the stories I've become obsessed with lately aren't just like, this is a great new app or the cool entrepreneur who's killing it. It's more, okay, with great power comes great responsibility. And it certainly seems like we've reached this moment where everyone's wondering, like, how are we going to use this power? Do you think that that's part of why this resonated?
Yeah, it strikes me that, you know, it's just us. That's all it is. And we have this tool that's neutral. It's just the medium. You know what I mean? Like what we're looking at when we're looking online is us.
We're infusing it with everything.
If it's good, it's because we're putting good out there. And if it's bad, it's because we're putting bad out there.
I think that we have the power to put positivity, or we have the power to create good change using it. It's a tool we can use for that purpose. It can also be a negative thing.
I think that we have sort of hit a tipping point, it feels like, culturally, where that social media has been a way of really pushing people apart and also creating this instant gratification of kind of spewing hatred at people. And yet there is a way in which I do think you can find comfort there and find a community. It's just how we use it.
Critics weighed in. On Broadway now for over a year, the people sitting at the table have won Tonys, Emmys.
In your speech, when you got the Tony Award, you said, don't waste any time being anyone other than yourself, because the things that make you strange are the things that make you powerful. If being strange gives you power, I'd be curious to know, like, you know, what is your strange? What is your power?
I think so often that weirdness aligns with passion.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one of the things, like the things that make you strange make you powerful. Embracing those things that are just about, the things about you that are so quirky and idiosyncratic, but it reflects what you love. And I think chasing after that and pursuing that and embracing that can lead to power. It can lead to you being unique and you being you.
I always felt weird for being curious about things.
Fascinated.
Yeah, and wanting to know more about everything, and felt like either I felt like a dork at one point for that, and then I felt like a poser at another point, you know? I just had like a kind of voraciousness for information and for finding out about people and stuff, and I feel like, yeah, there's something about obsession and about single-mindedness that is off-putting, and that is, that's because it's so earnest.
I know you guys did some of the music for La La Land too, and you did City of Stars. It's talking about dreamers and also being on the outside. Is that something personal to you?
I think definitely. I mean, I think all the characters in a sense, and we as authors, we as human beings want to be seen, we want to be heard, we want to know that our voice matters. And the irony is that however much validation you seek, you will never feel whole unless you feel whole internally. And I think that that's definitely a theme that resonates. I definitely noticed that with how my reaction to social media or online culture is, like or any kind of validation, whether it be a Tony Award or a like on Facebook.
For people who are feeling alone online, who feel like they don't fit, what do you want them to know?
People feel like their loneliness is unique, and I think that you should do your best to try to understand that there's nothing unique about that experience, that everybody at one point or another feels completely in a pit or completely on the outside or completely alone, and that can be the beginning of unification.